Lord of Space. One with complete control over space. A Lord of Space would be the kind of person who seems incredibly distant from everyone. Like, they're always seemingly just too far away for communication to be easy. And for a Lord of Space, this can be an incredibly isolating experience. And because of this isolation, they tend to retreat into their own minds, often being incredibly creative or imaginative people, creating whole universes to think about in their heads. But the truth is that it's always up to them to decide just how distant they truly are. On the ability side of things, the Lord of Space would be an insanely strong combatant, able to casually break the laws of physics on a whim, and are able to cause untold levels of destruction. But with such destructive power comes the same in reverse. A truly mastered Lord of Space could create their own galaxies, or even micro-universes to live in and explore, an infinite bastion of creation and potential to rule over, as a Lord truly could. To say the possibilities are endless is quite an understatement in this regard. Whatever the case may be, while the Lord of Space have a long and possibly lonely road ahead of them, one thing is for sure: the prize at the end is more than worth the journey to get there. Lord of Mind. One with complete control over mind. A Lord of Mind would be an interesting force to see interact with the world. Due to the nature of both pieces of the class spec, the Lord of Mind would hold himself as an incredibly knowledgeable individual. And while that may be true for some, a Lord of Mind would be more wise than purely knowledgeable. They would always have or aim for the best outcomes of any situations they were placed in, actively trying to ensure that no matter what, the choices they make are beneficial to them. On the ability side of things, the Lord of Mind would be a truly Lovecraftian class spec, able to alter the minds of anyone they wish. They could hijack brains and turn people into hyper-obedient zombies, or even give any and everyone vivid hallucinations, trapping them in their minds as a torture method if needed. Needless to say, anything involving the brain is their domain, and they're nearly unmatched in their control over it. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Mind would be a truly limitless class spec, with many routes to go and options to choose from. It's up to the Lord of Mind themselves to decide which route to take. Lord of Life. One with complete control over life. A Lord of Life would be an incredible force to behold, and would hold nearly limitless possibilities because of it. Some days, they're the biggest cheerleader in the room, getting everyone hyped up and spurring on cooperation between seemingly anyone. While on a bad day, they could be an inconsolable font of gloom. Being down in the dumps is putting it lightly, and they could be prone to rapidly switching between these two feelings at a moment's notice, making their mood and intention just as unpredictable as life really is. On the ability side of things, a Lord of Life would be the ultimate offense and defense. After all, dominion over life would be the ultimate spectacle to behold. They could create new life, anything from species we've never seen before to reviving extinct animals and healing any injury, or they could flip that on its head by being the ultimate plague and pestilence, taking away life on massive scales, almost as if to reclaim what's rightfully theirs. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Life is two extremes, and as with everything in life, moderation is key. Lord of Blood. One with complete control over blood. A Lord of Blood would be someone who's a master at interpersonal relationships. They know how people tick, and if needed, they could create a connection with nearly anyone to achieve their goals. Because of this and the natural magnetism they hold, a Lord of Blood would be more often than not a group leader with a wide and deep network of people in their pocket. On the ability side of things, a Lord of Blood would be a master of many different things, having dominion over the physicality of blood being one of their biggest boons. They would be able to control massive legions by manipulating their blood directly, very similar to bloodbending from Avatar: The Last Airbender. However, if we take the concept of blood to an even further extent, a Lord of Blood could be made even deadlier. When you take into account blood being the aspect of bonds, by that logic, a Lord of Blood would also be able to affect the bonds of almost any item, more specifically, atoms. So in theory, a Lord of Blood could tear nearly anything apart on a fundamental level, and there's really not much anyone could do about it. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Blood has an insane ceiling for what's truly possible with it, even if it takes a lifetime to truly connect with it. Lord of Doom. One with complete control over Doom. A Lord of Doom would be someone with an immense potential and impact on those around them. They would be the kind of person that a group of friends defaults to for answers because they have a good head on their shoulders. They're amazing at not just seeing the big picture, but the biggest picture, and not just seeing it, but actively working towards it and making it a reality. On the ability side of things, the Lord of Doom would be, as all master classes are, incredibly powerful in a variety of ways. Their domain would stretch from anything to resurrecting corpses by affecting the fate of those who are dead, to outright stopping death from occurring at all, by making it so that their fate can never truly come to pass. And similarly, they could cause the decay of nearly anything they want, living things, subatomic particles, and anything in between that, making them effectively a ticking time bomb. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Doom is an incredibly strong class spec, and as for as deadly as they are, it's important to still know that they're usually trying their best at the same time. Lord of Void. One with complete control over Void. A Lord of Void would be the ultimate master of the Void. They can move in complete silence and live on a need-to-know basis. Most people will never really encounter a Lord of Void because they're the type to truly enjoy isolation and minimalism to the max, going as far as keeping an incredibly low social presence even when around other people. They would make for excellent protectors of various things, knowledge, secrets, and people alike, being a bastion of reassurance to anyone they let into their lives. On the ability side of things, the Lord of Void would be as the name implies. They would rule over the Void itself, the space between sessions, and anything even Void adjacent. The reach would be monstrous, from things like navigating the Void with little to no issue as the rules of it are defined by them, to increasing or reducing the amount of empty space between atoms, causing all matter to be one bad day away from collapsing into a black hole, or even something completely different altogether. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Void is a powerful if yet isolated class spec, but when they come out of hiding, you can bet on everything something is changing in their wake. Lord of Light. One with complete control over light. A Lord of Light would be a big shot. They're the one everyone goes to for nearly any sort of emergency or levity. They know exactly what to say to lighten up a room and have a seemingly endless bag of information from which to pull things from. This contributes to their overall disposition as well, one focused on teaching others and enlightening anyone who can spare the time to learn. But of course, this can eventually get tiresome, and when that happens, it's not entirely unexpected for a Lord of Light to be one of the best gatekeepers around. After all, they know you want to learn from them, so if they cut off the reservoir of knowledge, there's little anyone can do about it. On the ability side of things, a Lord of Light would be an enigma, as fast or even faster than light in all frames of reference, with a luck stat that's nothing short of being the literal embodiment of fortune itself. A Lord of Light would be an incredibly varied class spec. Nothing's too big and no idea is too crazy for them, especially when they can just crank up their luck stat, so an infinitely small chance for you to randomly combust into flames or die of a heart attack becomes a 100% guarantee. It's a level of probability manipulation and light reality warping that may really only be understood by the other master classes. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Light can serve as many things, but sometimes they're best as a guiding light for those around them. Lord of Breath. One with complete control over breath. A Lord of Breath would be one cool and relaxed person. They'd be able to float through life unimpeded by pretty much anything, much like the breeze itself, and compared to how most people would live, they are the wind itself. They would be free of all things that bind them, pretty much living life on easy mode, and they're able to slip past pretty much any hardships with a positive attitude in tow. On the ability side of things, a Lord of Breath can be taken pretty straightforward, but scaled up a couple notches at the same time. Being able to command winds and storms like, well, the mutant Storm from the X-Men. Hurricanes, thunderstorms, and even crushing enemies with immense atmospheric pressure would be no issue at all for a Lord of Breath. And that's really just the beginning. Temperature control over their winds could lead them to a number of insane possibilities by just adjusting their attacks to purely unlivable degrees. Under the right circumstances, a Lord of Breath is really the bane of any planet. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Breath may spend the majority of their time relaxed and unbothered, but if that status quo is changed or threatened, they're able to rain down fury on anyone or anything. Lord of Rage. One with complete control over rage. A Lord of Rage would be a frightening figure, someone with complete control over the emotional spectrum of a scary thought in and of itself. Depending on the goals of the Lord of Rage, they could either choose to be a benevolent god, someone who merely presides over the facet of the human condition and everything that comes with it, bad or good, or they could choose to lean into the more literal rage and fear aspects, becoming a more malevolent force, imposing their will on whoever dares to try them by way of showing them their fears and horrors incomprehensible to them, a true cosmic horror entity in the flesh. On the ability side of things, a Lord of Rage would be nigh unstoppable in their strength. If the limit is how angry they can become, then much like the Hulk, there really is no limit on that, and thus infinity becomes a real possibility with a Lord of Rage. They could subjugate galaxies, becoming an omnipotent boogeyman, but that's just a cliche route. Just because rage can be negative doesn't mean it has to be, and as a Lord of Rage, they have just as much ability to work in reverse, becoming more akin to a god of passion and fervor, fueling the drive of anyone that looks up to them to fulfill their wildest hopes and dreams. Whatever the case may be, a Lord of Doom has as much room for good as evil. It's really just up to them how they choose to enforce it. Lord of Hope. One with complete control over hope. Another masterclass, and pair it with what might be the strongest aspect in hope, and there's little that can be done to stop a Lord of Hope. A Lord of Hope would be a figure akin to a deity if they were to ever reach full potential. The Lord would not only be someone seen as a god, but would also act as one, and in doing so, there are really three main paths for a true Lord of Hope. The loving and jovial Lord, one who uses their immense power and grants blessings. The apathetic Lord, one who is indifferent to the plight of others and serves to be a source of mystery and assumed power if prayed to. And the vindictive Lord, one who would actively seek to control and enslave whatever they deem unworthy to touch their light, hoping to truly be all-powerful. On the ability side of things, they would have the power to manifest pretty much whatever they desired, the only limit being their own belief in whatever it is they wish to create. Little is impossible for a Lord of Hope, as they are the unstoppable force of the universe. Barriers and roadblocks mean nothing to them, as if they simply believe that nothing is impeding them, then their desires are made manifest. At their lowest, they're reality warping and nigh unstoppable deities, and on the higher end, their influence and power may be so great that if they really wanted to, they could transcend reality altogether. Whatever the case may be, a Lord of Hope is a frightening class spec, and if used to its fullest ability, truly nothing else may be able to even come close to stopping it. Lord of Heart. One with complete control over Heart. The Lord of Heart is a crazy class spec, full stop. Lord and Muse being master classes allows them room for insanity in all manner of crazy powers and abilities, and as such, they're very unattainable by normal people unless destined for absolute pinnacle greatness. A Lord of Heart would be someone incredibly influential, able to reach out to anyone and get to the core of the matter, tugging at heartstrings and resonating with people's souls. Lords shine on the ability side of discussion. Mythological figures such as Hades himself would be a Lord of Heart, able to command souls of all kind, forcing them to do his bidding or just controlling them wherever they exist. Your will may not be your own while around a Lord of Heart, as they could simply ensnare your soul so you follow them or make you fall so deeply for what they're saying that nothing else matters. In the end, Lords exert complete control over their aspect, so really, your imagination is whatever the bounds of a Lord's powers are. Whatever the case may be, a Lord of Heart would be the ultimate manipulator, whether it's for their own gain or because they made you think that they are. Lord of Time. One with complete control over time. The Lord of Time is a canon class spec, held by one of the main antagonists of Homestuck, Caliborn, aka Lord English, and as such, we know a lot more about it. A Lord of Time would be someone who knows and can almost feel that they're destined for something great. They, like all lords, have a tremendous amount of pull and sway over the things around them, and coupled with their impatient nature, can lead them to moving mountains to making their end goals happen, which leads them to be always looking for the most efficient way of getting to where they need and want to be. On the ability side of things, the Lord of Time has an immense amount of power, from being able to directly influence timelines in various ways, causing paradoxes and infinite loops, to being able to straight up exist outside of time itself, or just erase people and timelines completely. Not to mention the potential gap in power between a Lord of Time and most other master classes is immense. The Lord of Time has potential to be one of the deadliest classes if properly and fully mastered, and if smartly utilized, there could be no way to truly beat them because their existence in a given session will be guaranteed thanks to convoluted time loops and paradoxes. Whatever the case may be, the Lord of Time is a truly powerful master class, and one befitting to a true menace of the multiverse. One so menacing that the concept of stopping them is rendered useless, because as we all know, you cannot stop him when he is already here.